All right, so let me explain what I've been thinking. As you guys know, I'm really passionate about polymathy as a human phenomenon, and I've been working for years to promote this simple concept that we are and should be many things. And it's a relatively recent field, and it's getting more and more attention now that AI is here. And so there's more people sort of joining the space. I'm continuing to meet people who are passionate about this like me. It's a tool that can help make the world a better place through the power of learning, unlearning, relearning. And we've all been sort of islands operating separately. And it occurred to me, well, I'm going to Europe this October. And one of the reasons I'm going is for a yoga retreat. I'll be in Santorini, which is one of my favorite places on the planet. And I'm in Greece where Polymathy started. And I thought, why don't I just invite the people who care about this like I do? And if you're able to come, great. If you can't come, I understand. This is in middle of October. So I know there's not a ton of lead time, but if you're able to come, I'd love to collaborate and connect us because we've all been doing our own things separately. And I think if we have a united, united is exactly the right word. If we're aware of each other more, the more we can intermingle and understand and compare notes and compare strategies, I think we'll be able to do better work for polymathy as a human phenomenon. So that's really my intention. This is sort of a low pressure thing. I do have an agenda I'll share with you today and some additional details. It's a draft, it's a scaffolding. I also am a big believer in going with the flow um, as well. So we could always make changes to how it's going if it's not going the way we want it. But let me go ahead and share my screen. Actually, I may need to go back here. Okay. So can you guys see, and let me make up the whole
Yeah, I
screen.
can see it clearly. I
Okay,
hope everyone can as well.
there we go. Okay, so, and this is very simple. I know you guys got the link and I can walk you through the link that I emailed as well. But the idea is basically just to hang out in 3D in the flesh. Spend time together, talk. Like I think there are so many unexpected good things that could come out of assembling the people who care about polymathy. This has never been done before, as far as I'm aware. And of course, Greece has special significance because it's where the word polymath was created. Alina just joined. All right. So the idea is to bring together the thought leaders and, the people who care about polymathy's human phenomenon, bring us together. And here are some of like a rough agenda, a high level agenda of how our week would go. Day one would be people traveling. Oh, here's Paul. So high level, day one would be people arriving, we have a nice dinner, we relax. Day two, we would have like more formal introductions and maybe like a touristy thing. And this can be changed, like I said, but this is like a draft. Um, if you all want to share what you've been working on, ideas you have, how you would like polymathy as a thing to be seen and understood, you'd have opportunities to share your ideas and your perspectives and to learn. I think it would be so useful to hear how other people are thinking about polymathy as a thing, like if we were together. Um, we'd have some interactive workshops. There's some fun social games I'd like to play to like break the ice and like have a lot of fun, bond. We could problem solve and brainstorm about ways that we can, use the power of polymathy to make the world a better place, maybe some action planning, some ideation there. And then at the end, we sort of thought that it'd be useful to have some sort of artistic expression of what we got out of the experience. And then maybe do some shopping, some, souvenir buying, a fun, easy day. And then on day seven, the wrap up and goodbye and departures. So that's high level what it would be. It obviously would be revolved around polymathy as a thing and the thinkers in the space. I'm really not doing this to make money off of you guys, but I'd like to have a little bit of budget for things that we might want to do there. And Um, the idea is that you would make your own travel arrangements and pick lodging in a certain area. And my assistant and my team could, help with finding lodging that's in like a walking distance to where we're going to be meeting. But you would pay for your flight and you would pick where you want to stay and make your own travel arrangements, but we could help you with that. We'd like decisions like in the next 2.5 weeks or so. I know that's kind of a quick turnaround time, but mid-October isn't super far away. So we do need to, get decisions either way. And if anyone can't make it, I totally understand. Um, Let me also walk you guys. I'm going to stop sharing for a second and just go to where the link I sent to you guys, just in case anyone didn't have a chance to look at that. So let me just get over there and then I'll reshare. And by the way, I have had COVID. Okay, I've had COVID. I haven't been at my best. Um, and so there may have been like some typos or some like things that weren't perfect here. So please forgive me. I never had COVID before and it was difficult.
No problem. No
Okay.
problem. I hope you're feeling better now.
Oh, thank you
Yes.
so much.
It's so much hard. It's so hard. It's such hard work setting up a great thing for all of us like this. So it's amazing.
And by the way, in a minute, you know what? Actually, I'm going to pause on this because I feel like we should go around the room. Actually, I've just dived in, but let's go around the room and say how, who each of you is and how polymathy relates to your work. And if you're wondering, I can help you figure it out, Michelle. Um, but yeah, let's just, before we go any further, can you all just, if you feel comfortable, come off mute and just go around the room and share why polymathy matters to you and like how you're involved in the space and why you care. I'm going to go on mute.
Barry should go first. Barry should
Can you go first? Who's first?
Yes, you should go first.
That looks like it can have to be me, doesn't it? Unless we got a volunteer.
I'll do it. I can do it.
Okay, got a volunteer, love a volunteer. Go for it.
Me or you, Barry?
Volunteer, Adam.
The one who said yeah. Okay, cool. So noise is okay. I'm in a cafe, admittedly. Okay, cool. All right. I found, okay, I guess quick intros. I found Angela through her YouTube channel, which maybe some of you have also done. Polymathy's never been like, I don't think of myself as like an advocate for it, but I'm probably implicitly an advocate in the way that maybe a lot of people here are, in that we believe that, it's limiting to view problems in the narrow lenses of, divisions that academia sets or Wikipedia pages, create, or things like that. In that, is it getting noisier?
All good.
No problem. We can hear you.
In that way, there's advocacy, there's a belief. But in terms of kind of my day-to-day engagement with it, I'm an artistic person. I kind of grew up with art. That hasn't, I've kept that. I do design now for companies, web apps, web applications, design, programming, and trying to learn more right now about research and just, up the statistics game, and, just try to, just be able to understand literature and make hopefully contributions one day, and work with good people. So that's kind of where I'm at.
And Adam loves polymathy so much, he's been volunteering to help me for many months. And so that's part of why I thought it would be appropriate to invite Adam, because he's already willing to help out and do work and he's passionate about it.
I'd like to go next now because I want to second a couple of things that Adam said. So I had no idea about polymathy for most of my life, doing polymathic things, getting into lots of trouble. And I have to say that since I met Angela and learned and Barbara a little earlier, my life is full of even more trouble. But at least now now I've got a rough idea why. But joking apart, and that wasn't so much of a joke. But yeah, no, it was a bit of a revelation to me when I realized that I couldn't explain my CV or my LinkedIn to anyone without using a word something like polymathy, and I couldn't possibly use that. But what kind of just thinking about and researching the word led me to Barbara's door, and I'm immensely grateful to Barbara. I'm so glad you're here uh, because the next thing I learned was that when you get polymaths together, the the conversation is completely different. And it's now clear to me that when you get groups of polymaths together, sometimes with other people as well, but the potential for change and for the world is enormous. So look, I blame Angela for a lot of this in the sense I'm talking about. I'm delighted to be a friend and a colleague, and she does and has done and does do so much to kind of move this forward and our understanding forward. So that's kind of where I am. And who doesn't want to go to Greece, right?
Thank you.
I'll go next. Jim.
Okay.
I'll go next. Whatever Barry said, I'll just photocopy it. It's the same. I'm in so much trouble right now because of Angela. So it has been a revelation for me that I'm a polymath, and it's now easy for me to tell people, explain my LinkedIn profile to people, what I do, and I've found the focus and the direction. So I'm very grateful to Angela and all of the group with whom I have been interacting indirectly. So thank you very much.
And Anthony frequently writes on polymathy as a human phenomenon on like for media. Is it Medium? And yeah,
Yes, medium.
yeah.
Yes, medium.
Yeah, and he's had some really great insights. And we've known each other many years. So I consider him one of the thinkers in the space with his work that he's done writing articles on polymathy. Who'd like to go
Thank you.
next?
Can I go next?
Alina, sure, go ahead.
Great. Okay, so yeah, polymathy has been also very helpful learning in my life. So I'm a psych and neuroscience professor, and but not just that, as with a lot of us, right? I run counseling centers, and I have a not-for-profit helping women, and I'm part of like a women's group, and just took like a 10-week pottery course, and and all of and I have like 4 more cool things I'm doing. So I think people have always been like, well, but what are you actually like? They can't even keep track of who I am, like what I'm doing or that kind of stuff. And that's often been kind of a shaming thing, like just focus on one thing. And I was like, but then it's boring. And I want, like, my brain just needs to feed and learn and grow. And so anyway, so just getting connected with everybody here and the polymaths kind of place, it's been and I've also been in a lot of other kind of high intelligence spaces, and I found the polymath spaces to be like the kindest and the most collaborative and just full of just people who've done the coolest shit and care about the coolest stuff, and are always like we're always teaching each other things from different fields. So I just like feel most as at ease, and like this is how the world should be. Like I want a culture of this, and I already bought my ticket, so I'll definitely be in Corfu.
And Alina also, in addition to all those things, she's expert on ADHD,
Yeah,
autism,
and psychopathy.
and psychopathy. And she has a Facebook, like ADHD Interrupted, which how many
We're at
members?
620,000 people.
Yeah, she has a very large audience related to neurodiversity. And so she's just such a thinker and a doer in her own way on the polymathy stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who'd like to go next?
Go next.
Okay, go ahead, Stephen.
Stephen Piraldi. I'm new to Polymathy. By the way, thank you for the message. So I'm relatively new to it as a concept. Again, once I met Angela and read her work, that really put me over the edge. And I encourage everyone to try to explore the space more and live to their fullest. That's really it.
And Stephen has written about polymathy quite a bit himself as well and thought about it. He's been a professor at UC Berkeley. He works in Silicon Valley as a tech executive, and he's been very humble, but he's also a thought leader in the space in his own way.
And I'm remodeling my office, which is why it's all blue. So sorry.
All right, who'd like to go next?
I'm happy to go. Oh,
Go ahead, Paul.
yeah, I'm happy to go next. I won't be attending, and Corfu is a road trip for me, and I'm really bummed. But I'm going to be in the U.S. I live in Bulgaria. My name is Paul Strobel. I've been coaching entrepreneurs and executives and polymaths since 2008, and I would say that as a polymath, sometimes like attracts like in your business and career, and many people who I end up working with who wouldn't identify as a polymath, we dig a bit and start talking a little bit, and they have this problem of creating a life and career that they love when they have all these different interests, right? And like many of you, I struggled early on. I was interested in everything, went to engineering school, ended up with a degree in anthropology, did international business after that, and I've been, location independent since long before that was cool. And yeah, I've done some speaking on polymathy or polymathy, depending on how you want to say it. And I recently spoke, Alina, I thought you would find this interesting, at the Davidson Institute. It's basically a school for child prodigies. It's based in Reno, and they designed the school so that they put kids in classes based on their ability, not their age, and they're right on the edge of the University of Nevada Reno campus. So that way, if they top out in high school, they go straight to college classes with other college students. And then go back to the high school, right? It's a K through 12 program. And the reason I mentioned you, Alina, is because that place, it was loaded with neurodivergent kids and alumni, really, really interesting community. And I was doing presentations for the alumni and parents. And yeah, and as some of you may know, Putty Like, I've been involved. I've been a coach on their bench for a number of years. I'm currently not listed as one of the coaches, but that's just because my business is going another direction that still involves polymaths, but you know how we like to change things up. So
Yes, thank you, Paul. Yeah, Paul's been a guest on my channel. I've been a guest on his channel talking about polymathy or polymathy. And yeah, he's one of the coaches who exists, who specializes in this audience. So that's why I'm sorry you can't make it to Corfu, especially being so close. Timing didn't work out. But
yeah,
thank
well,
you for coming.
We road tripped there about a year and a half ago. We were there and yeah, picked up a few 5-liter tubs of olive oil and some other things. So it's amazing there.
Awesome.
Well, you guys are going to love it.
We'll be looking to you for tips on what to look out for then. Okay.
Well, isn't the Dural tour, right? Like
Yes.
I hear a British accent over there. So you got to go see all that stuff. Yeah.
Yes, it's my favorite book.
All right. Well, thank you, Paul.
You'll be live streaming, Angela, from the event all 6 days. You'll be live streaming from there.
No, I don't think we're going to be able to live it depends. We may
Maybe
be able
the
to record.
Maybe the 6th day.
Yeah,
Maybe on the 6th.
Yeah, we can definitely think about that.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to have the Yeah, I don't know if we're going to have the bandwidth for that or not, but I think at a minimum we could record and provide some of the discussions because this really is kind of an historic meeting of polymath thinkers that there's been very little done in this space before. So just even assembling a
Yes,
group of us who think and write and work in the
exactly. And you
space.
know that on the sixth day, God made man, and you're also going to make something beautiful on the sixth day.
I hope so. I hope so. All right, who'd like to go next?
Happy to go next.
Okay.
Yeah, when I look back in the 80s, 90s, I can also, yeah, I worked in an environment where polymath skills were welcome and encouraged. Actually, the company had something new rolling out about every year and was ahead of the time. And then came the best practices. And after a while, the thinking, this culture was gone. I was one of the few people who refused letting go of what worked and eventually left the company. And then outside the company, initially, it looked interesting, yeah, but the more best practices were applied, the more difficult it became to get a contract or find a job. Yeah, somehow I managed, and via various initiatives, especially so those of the Sustainable Development Goals, I got into initiatives, and after about 20, hey, what's going on here? Every initiative with high ambitions gets stuck, or the value reduces to a tiny fraction. And as an analyst, I started to ask, what's going on here? And that led to an initiative we are now well advanced with. It's called the Law of Nature Manifesto, where we go beyond the traditional thinking. We have identified what must be the most damaging root causes, preventing us from solving the big issues, the big problems. Right now, we're putting together how one can find highest impact solutions in highly complex environments. And one of the things needed there is, hey, the polymath skills are desperately needed to open the inbox thinking and must be put into high impact positions like in decision making, like in solution design. And that's one of the things that we are putting into it now. I assume it will go ahead, and that would be the number one skill need required. And next to that, just heard about Alina, ADHD, dyslexia, autism, the talents that come with them would be very welcome as well. And yeah, that's pretty much where we are right now. And okay, who's going next?
Well, thank you so much.
Nobody. Do I need to pick him next? I see
Ksenia?
a hand.
Yay, Roxania, come on.
Yeah.
Hi. Yeah. So I started with Polymathy. So well, my professional background is in HR, mostly in education. So I have a very like over 15 years experience of seeing this industry from within, how it works and how it doesn't work. And then in 2018, I discovered Polymathy while I was researching for something else, and I just realized that the movers and shakers, people who actually shaped our civilization, that they were all polymaths. I mean, that absolutely was mind-blowing, and I decided to. I also saw that there was almost nothing written about it. There were one or two books, and I realized, well, why don't I write a book? So, and of course, I used also the material of Angela. It was very insightful for that time. There was almost nothing there. Also, Ruth Bernstein's work, of course. And so I wrote this book, which you see in the back of my shelf, and many people know it already. The book is called Why Polymaths, and it's quite a big work. It's like about 460 pages, and I covered lots of things from history. It's a lot of history, world history of polymathy, because like in the work of Petersburg, there is only Western Polymathy covered. So I tried to cover the Indian, Chinese, and all like Eastern culture, which is not represented in the Western mindset now. And so this was my kind of the entrance into this world, and I've got extremely positive feedback. I'm still getting lots of appreciation and lots of people happy with this book. And now I just today, believe me or not, I finished writing the second book, which is called Future of Work from Industrial to Polymath Mindset, because I decided to cover this part, which is still very poorly represented, that people in the corporate world have no idea what to do with that. Even if you would tell them that there are polymaths, so the next question is, what shall I do with this? So they want some practical stuff. They want concrete recipes. They want to understand. And my book is focusing on this angle of AI and polymathy, how to work with these two things in the future. So it's not that not that big as the first one. So it's only 200 pages, but I just thought, okay, I write something particularly for people and culture department. Mostly it's for them, and yeah, for the corporate world, with a focus on the corporate world. So it's not so much for individuals. It's most for like organizations, that they understand the value and what to do with that. So, and otherwise, people, I think most of you know me from LinkedIn, and I'm doing most of polymathy things on LinkedIn, because Facebook, I found it absolutely is so kind of, at least I have a huge community on Facebook. I have over 20,000 people altogether on my accounts, but they are not getting the point of polymath. I don't know, somehow I'm not finding Facebook so helpful in spreading polymathy. I found very helpful LinkedIn. So I'm doing a lot of work there. Also I have a newsletter and everything. So kind of I'm enjoying. I met so many amazing polymaths over there. So really, and I'm getting very interested that people started, even tech people, they started understanding that they need this view. So I started getting requirements for advisory, kind of, they just want my polymathic vision of things for startups or some tech companies or educational organizations. So I'm quite happy to see that people somehow they realize to say they lack something. They don't have this vision, which like I have, and they say, we want that, we want your vision for our product. How do you see it from all this multidisciplinary perspective, and how will it so I'm extremely happy about that, because I see finally it's working. It's really, people are seeing the need for that, and this is amazing. Yeah, happy to share about it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ksenia.
Yeah.
She's a major important figure in the space in terms of content creation and authorship.
And
Thank
I can't.
you.
Oh, when's the book coming out? I can't wait to see it.
Congratulations on the second book.
I could go.
Yes, go ahead.
It's kind of, I didn't want to be in a narrow niche, and I wanted to publicize my coaching. And then I took some time, and then I found, oh, I can take who I was often called a Renaissance woman, polymath or so. And then I thought, if polymath is my niche, it will never be boring. And that was the beginning of an adventure. I met Angela, who I'm grateful that she helped me in the beginning to even get the concept of polymathy. And I just started discovering polymaths from me and from other polymaths, and inviting and forming a network of polymaths that is very empowering. And I also coach polymaths, and I find it's the most satisfying thing, because polymaths can so fast, they can grow from being restricted to really blossoming. I would say.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Thank you for doing that work, Barbara. It's needed.
And I was also kind of posting from the other perspective, from how a business should see polymaths. So I have those two perspectives that I've posted about on LinkedIn, and everything that I like to post about.
And such a polymath herself too. Medical doctor, musician, polymath
Yeah.
promoter. Really
And that
cool
story
combo.
wouldn't be complete without Barbara's group, which runs every fortnight, which has brought an awful lot of connections and people together, and continues and is great work as well. Barbara, thank you for that.
Thank you.
I'd like to go next. Michelle. So most of you don't know Michelle. She's a new add-in I've known for forever, and her work with me impacted my thinking on polymathy so much. So I really wanted to loop her in. She's an amazing person. But Michelle, you go ahead.
Thank you. Well, I was going to say I'm very new to the idea of polymathy, and just listening to all you, I'm guessing this is related, that I work with people in helping to understand themselves and the multiple minds inside, the multiple parts of ourselves in our internal world. And of course, we have that in our external world. And then there's this relationship between the two. I think that's kind of related to what I'm hearing. And I'm definitely a person that has fallen in love with different disciplines in my life, and always wanting to integrate things and putting things together and see what comes out of that. And that's where I am. So
Yeah.
nice to be here, and I look forward to learning and being here. It is IFS. Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Internal family system. So those of you who aren't familiar, internal family system, Michelle's a certified coach, and she was my coach, and she helped me work with all my parts. And I was in my 20s when I was probably 26 or 27, maybe 28 when I met Michelle, and we just clicked. She's really into like the self-help space, as I am, and human empowerment, human potential. And the just becoming aware of all my own internal parts, my afraid part, my planner part, my work, like all the parts. It was just one of those ingredients that like led me to wanting to understand the full human and all its variety, through the lens of polymathy. So her angle's more emotional work. A lot of polymathy is associated with intellectual work, but I think they're both really important. So thank you for coming, Michelle. Good to see you. All right. So Michael or James or, oh gosh, did Bob have to leave? Darn. Robert Root Bernstein was here, by the way. I think he had to, oh, Xenia, someone's coming back. Xenia's coming back. People may have gotten kicked out on accident, but Bob Root Bernstein, who was here earlier, he was one of the founding scholars of the field of polymathy studies in academia. All right. So James, would you like to go?
Hey everyone. I'm James. I've been on the autodidact path for 30 plus years now. I started reading encyclopedias for fun when I was a kid. That led to a bunch of different things, but I've built 25 organizations now in my life in about 20 different fields. The most notable and most relevant one here is is online. We're trying to build a physical campus for today's polymath, today's Da Vinci. It's about 15 years ago now. It unfortunately is no longer going, but someone, maybe you, Angela, will take the reins and make that happen. So I was a triple major, quadruple minor in college, and I've been in the spaces around behavior change and social change all my life, and currently focus on trying to prevent us all from dying from AI. So there's that.
And Project Polymath, that's how I learned about James. Yeah, so he's been, a promoter of this long before I was. All right. Michael, would you like to go, Captain Future? maybe he had to step away. Okay. Well, why don't I do this? Why don't I just screen share and walk you through so we've all earlier in the meeting, we reviewed the draft agenda and like the small fee for those who would like to come. But let me just review also what was sent via email, and there may be typos and imperfections. I've had COVID, please forgive me. Okay. But yeah, this is just my attempt to bring together the people who are thinkers and doers in the space and see what happens. Okay. It's an experiment. It's not been done before. And thanks to Thea, my assistant, for making this. So here are the dates, October 14th through 20th. Akaravi Beach in Corfu, Greece is the location. So our idea is everybody makes their own travel and lodging arrangements in a same little like walkable distance. So you're not booking your travel or your lodging through me, you know, Thea and I, and you know, we can help you if you need help. So this is basically like it's not been done before that I'm aware, where we've gathered the thinkers and the doers in the polymathy kind of space. Let's see what happens. And Greece, since it's the birthplace of polymathy, seems like an appropriate place to do that. You can meet other thought leaders. You know, I think there's only a small portion of the people I invited who came here today. I know this sort of short notice for this meeting, so not everyone can make it. That's why I'm recording it. But there are even more fellow thought leaders in the polymathy space who are invited. And it's a great opportunity to network in person, in the flesh. Like so much of what we do nowadays is online, and there's just something really nice about meeting in person, I think, and the magic that can come from like a casual walk on the beach conversation or sitting around a fire or a dinner conversation. And it's all amazing people too. It's not just that you're all polymaths yourselves, but that you're promoters of it in your own ways. And we're going to have leisure and exploration. Like there'll be room for enjoyment and relaxation and shopping and, you know, doing this touristy thing. Alina has spent time in Corfu. I don't know if Alina, if you want to share anything about your experiences in Corfu, but here's some visuals of it.
Would you like me to share a little now?
Sure, yeah, and I'll
Great.
scroll through some of the pictures maybe. But yeah, what if you'd like to
Awesome.
share anything on your experience of Corfu, go
Great.
ahead.
Well, Corfu is so cool. It's the greenest island in Greece. So very like just huge bursting flowers and every tree growing like some sort of fruit. In October, we're right before winter. I mean, so like kind of later, earlier in the fall. So maybe we'll see a lot of citrus fruits everywhere, or like, you know, it's so exciting. I love it there. I was there for several weeks on a branch of my STEM not-for-profit, where I worked with Ionian University, which is actually the oldest modern university in Greece, like since like within whatever is considered modern Greece. And so we might actually do something connected to them while we're there. But I did a huge a talk there on ADHD and autism, and also worked on helping women there learn STEM skills. And it was just spectacular. The main city, Corfu town, which won't be too far from us. We're going to be all on a beach, but Corfu town is like people have described it like it looks like you're in a wedding cake. Everything is made of like white stone, gleaming. It hasn't changed very much since like the 1930s. So if anybody's read The Durrells or My Family and Other Animals, like the by George Durrell, or seen the TV show The Durrells, it still looks like a lot of like what it used to be in the 1930s. I was really shocked when I went there because I'm a big Durrells fan, and it like everybody there had known the Durrells, and it was amazing. Anyway, and but yeah, and there's just like beautiful nature. It's not touristy at all. Like there's all the amenities you need, but it's like they're very like not a lot of advertisements. It's not super westernized, well, not like Americanized. So, and a lot of the ocean all around it is turquoise because they have like white stone under the water there. So, and the water is quite warm. So it is amazing. And there's been also it used to be a popular vacation spot for British people in the early 1900s. So you'll see a mixture of like The people who built it were the same people who built Vienna. So it's kind of like a little bit of Vienna, or sorry, a little bit of Venice. Sorry, Venice were the same people who built Venice. So you'll see like Venetian styles, some British styles, Greek styles. It's a really cool island. Anyway, so just a little bit about it. It was one of my favorite places in the world.
Yay, thank you. And I love Greece. I went to Greece like 2 years ago and I loved it so much I'm going back, you know. I've been to like 43 countries and it's one of my favorite. Plus the fact that polymathy was like, that word was created there, it just has a special place in my heart. So just to get back to the slideshow though, so the way it would work is you guys, this would be like a shared vacation with some structured activities that I'd be facilitating or we'd be facilitating. And, but you would make your own flight and lodging arrangements, like I've said. And we've put together a bunch of options.
It's also a very affordable island. So it's a very cheap part of Greece as well, just to give people some, like, food is quite a lot cheaper. So it's like, it's almost like Portugal or lower pricing for a lot of stuff. So yeah.
And the food in Greece, oh my God, it's so good. And it's just so beautiful, like views everywhere you look. So we've put together, you know, some options of lodging that you could book for yourself if you'd like to go. Here's an example of, you know, a place you could get for $521 for the week, or you could go somewhere, you know, with a little bit higher budget if you were looking for something like that. But we've assembled a bunch of options to make booking your lodging easier. And all different kind of options are listed in that slide deck link that you all have in your email. But if you need any help, just let me know. And we've also put together like some fun activities that we could do, touristy things, because we want to make sure we have a good time, of course, while we're there. And so these are some of the options of things we could do. And I'm trying to think. Yeah. And so if you're interested in coming, there is a link here where you can sort of make a commitment if you're going to come or not. And I'd like to ask if you could do that by August 16th. And I'll put this in email. I know it's kind of a short turnaround time, but we're just trying to get a head count. And like, you know, if you can make a decision in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we'd really appreciate it if you can. And if you can't make it, I totally understand, but it is a cool opportunity to meet other thinkers in the space. Yeah, Xenia, do you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. I mean, I would love to make it, and I think I could make it, but the October is an extremely like a very intensive month normally for the business life. Yeah, so normally lots of things are happening in October. So my question is whether we could make it not a week, not 5 days, but like 3 days would seem like absolutely manageable, but 5 days, 5 or 6 days is already too much for me. I think I will not be able to cover this because of other things.
Yeah, you could come for part of it. You could pick the days that you want to come and make it work for you.
Okay.
That's fine with me. I would love to see you there for however long, and just to meet in person finally too would be really fun. And to meet the other people. Like so many of us have been working together or meeting together, texting or talking for years, and we've just never met in person.
It's true. Absolutely. No, I was just wondering if it's okay to come for a shorter time.
Yeah, you can pick the dates that work for you, because we've made this very like on your, like, it's very flexible because you're making your own lodging. Like you don't have to, you know, book through us or anything. So you can make it what you want. And if you need to do work and like step out and like do stuff to, you know, like make it work for you. I'm totally fine with that. If you come for the days that work for you, or if you have to step out to do some work, like do what you got to do.
I had the same question too. Yeah. So I'm happy somebody else had.
Yeah. And don't forget though that Anthony said it earlier on the 6th day, God created mankind. And on the 6th day, I don't know what's going to happen.
So we can get together at least on the 6th day.
Yeah. So this is an opportunity. Oh, sorry, Adam.
No, I was making a very bad joke. So you can ignore it.
And yeah, like instead of like, I've just realized that it's more efficient to do group meetings. That like we could meet each other one-on-one and try to do that, but it's just so much more efficient if we have a group gathering. And who knows what we might decide. Like we might compare notes and go, there's this new idea we need to do, or like, oh, you cover this and I'll tag team, like we'll get things done in a like a hive mind kind of way, because there aren't a whole lot of thinkers and doers in the space. There's only so many of us. So anyway, that's my idea, and you're all invited to come. Michael, would you
Actually,
like to say anything? Oh, would you like to
No,
introduce yourself?
I'm just listening today.
Well, Michael, Captain Future is very in the polymathy space in his own right by promoting like Mavericks. And Michael, can you give a little introduction about like the kind of work kind of efforts you've been making over the years and trying to make sense of the world in interdisciplinary ways?
I've been traveling a lot. I've been to Greece. We had a retreat there with some polymathic people in 2019. So a 2-week retreat for amazing people, mostly from the US. But apart from that, nowadays you're all welcome. We have an exercise in generative dialogue every Sunday on Zoom, if you're welcome to do that. I know, Angela, you've done it a long time ago, but it's called Glass Speed Games from the Hammer Hesse book. So it's a lot of people who show up all over the world who come together and talk about it. We choose a subject every time, and if you're a newcomer, you're welcome to suggest any subject you want to discuss in this very simple but very profound exercise. So I do a lot of things like that about democracy and wisdom.
Yeah, really cool. Any other questions or comments about Corfu?
I love that you made the program so open and not crush too much program in it, because my experience is that this is the stuff that really matters.
Yeah, I think that we're going to get more magic out of this meeting if we have a lot of like organic, natural interactions and see what happens. We'll have some structured stuff. Like I have the high level agenda we, reviewed at the beginning, something to guide our way, but I really want this to be a co-creation. And I really view my role as just sort of providing the opportunity, the time and the place where we can get together, because this hasn't been done before, at least not with our group in this way, with the Polymath Thought Leaders. So we'll see. I hope you all can make it. If you can't, I totally understand. If you think of any questions. Oh, yes,
I would
Anthony,
just
go
like
ahead.
to add, I would just like to add that you said the magic word. I'm pretty sure that all of the people who will attend this event these days, they will find an emotional connection and magic will happen, because everyone has so many superpowers, but because of this COVID or distance, we have never been able to meet each other face to face. Now, with this face to face, I think the whole community of Greece will feel that something special is happening, and it's such a lovely place. So I'm pretty sure that whoever makes it there, even for a day, even will feel that magic, because so many polymaths and special people are gathering together. It will be really, really amazing. So I believe that.
Well, thank you. I believe it's going to be super amazing too. Whoever comes and however it turns out, I think it's going to be a really special historic meeting of the content creators and thought leaders related to being all that we are in all its variety and expressing our onlyness, the full human.
No,
Angela. Oh, yeah.
goodness, no, sorry. Sorry,
I was just going to ask you a question. Go ahead, Gary.
Very brief comment. Goodness knows the range of topics that we're going to end up talking about. My head's bursting just thinking about it. So yeah, sorry. Was it Michael?
It was me.
Go ahead, Adam. Sure.
Yeah, I completely share that, especially hearing us all talk now for almost an hour. I'm feeling more excited about it than it was even before, just about the range of topics. But Angela, I was going to ask you, and this is kind of piggybacking off the 3-day comment. which we resolved. But I'm curious because I think you had in day 5 and 6 were the brainstorming days explicitly.
Oh yeah,
Is that what it looked like?
let me find that. Hey, give me 1 second and I'll pull up that file.
If that was the case, I wanted to ask if it's possible or what everyone's thoughts are on, like, I guess dispersing that throughout the stay. Because I don't know. If it's too difficult, I get that. I'm wondering if, people kind of come in maybe for the first part, like day 1, 2, or day 4 or 5, whether there would be kind of the same opportunities to have sit downs or stand up, whiteboard sessions, whatever you want to call them, Sharpies on markers, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sharpies on whiteboards.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of that's going to happen even when it's not scheduled. Based on who's been invited. I think we're naturally going to start talking about ideas because we love to think and ideate and cross-pollinate and do all of that systems thinking. But this is the rough agenda. And for anyone who missed it at the very beginning, maybe I'll just review one more time. So day 1 and day 7 are travel days. So I really haven't put much there because we're going to be arriving, maybe we could have a group dinner or a group breakfast but day 1 is basically welcome and get settled in and get comfy and let's meet and hang out and have a dinner. And then introductions on day 2, maybe like a little touristy thing, some free flow. And day 3 is when we start getting into the meat of it, where you all are free to share your ideas on polymathy or things you think the world needs, group discussions, or we have more structured intellectual conversations on day 3 and 4 and 5. So day 3 and 4 and 5 is where we've put the bulk of that kind of work. And day 6 and 7 was more like shopping and touristy stuff and wrap up. But for anyone who can only come for a few days, I would say day 3, 4, and 5, which would be October 18th, 19th, and 20th, if I'm not mistaken.
Is it 16 to 18? Because I think in my calendar, I have the event running from 14 to 20. Is that?
Oh, am I getting it wrong? Okay. I just did the math in my head and I might have gotten it off, but yes, that sounds right.
But it's day 3 and 5, just 1, 2, 3 to 5 is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, I think days
Just
3, 4, and
quick.
5, right in the middle of it, are
Okay.
when we'd have the meatiest discussions. So if anyone's sort of limited, I'd recommend coming for day 3, 4, and 5. We
Got
can
it.
always move this around too, but
Yeah.
it's probably better to pick,
Yeah.
some shorter period for the people who can only come for part of it.
Right. And I presume if people know when they're coming, that it could be kind of worked around, like, okay, because there'll be a lot of notice of people coming. So you can be like, okay, this person's only here for day, like, even if it's day 1 or 2, like you can be like, all right, we'll make sure just for them, there's probably something, I presume, can be made space for. Would that be right, Angela?
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of this is just gonna, like, without being structured, just us being together, we're naturally going to be having important intellectual discussions about polymathy as a thing to help make the world a better place and the state of the world and what solutions might look like.
And about everybody's projects and skills and
Yes.
like themselves and their lives. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I've really tried, I don't know if you guys could tell, but I've really tried to foster a cooperative, supportive ethos between us and not be competitive, but it might be helpful to like compare notes and be like, okay, you're working over there, I'm going to work on this, like, how we can really promote polymathy in an intelligent, holistic way amongst ourselves, even, is part of what I hope will come out of this, so that we're not all islands, and so we've met in person, and the bonds will be able to develop in the flesh together. I think will enhance the work we can collectively do. So it's an experiment. I think it'll go well. I think it'll be amazing. I'll do my best to record some stuff. If I can figure out how to do remote participation, I would. But I can't promise that yet. This is, a learning process for me as well. And I'll be seeking feedback from you guys. And, maybe this could be something that we do once every few years or something. And it could grow, and who knows, we can ideate on that when we're together.
Yeah.
And co-create a vision for how to promote polymathy as a means to helping solve global problems and enhance human lives and make the world a better place through the power of intelligence.
Yeah. And this is really similar. I like to think about it too. Like back in the day when the world was a lot smaller and there were a lot less people in it, like a lot of the big thinkers in the world would regularly get together or talk to each other. You know, like Einstein was talking to, you know, Oppenheimer, or all the, you know, they were exactly, or Da Vinci was communicating with, you know, it was like that's how so much of it grew. And then we got, you know, there's just so many people and it's so hard to get connected to people doing important things in different fields that are relevant to yours. So like this to me, it feels like almost like how science was when the world was smaller, like how we can grow the world through our connections. Like that's the whole spirit of polymathy. I just feel like this is exactly it. Like it just gives me like a chills.
Yeah, and just hanging out, never mind our missions and our visions and our work, just hanging out with amazing polymaths is going to be amazing.
Yeah,
The kinds of
absolutely.
conversations we'll have will be really cool.
I hardly dare think about how much trouble we can A, get in, and B, create.
I know, exactly. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. If you guys think of any questions later, just shoot me an email or a messenger or whatever, however we talk. And I hope you can make it. And if we can't, maybe we'll have other ones or some recordings. I'll do my best to kind of keep you guys in the loop with whatever happens there, because it's TBD. I don't know all the things that will happen. It's emergent, you know, how this will go. It's a co-creation. All right. Well, if that's it, I thank you guys for coming and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.
Great. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.